Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. Use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper. We are here on an All-Star Tuesday during the All-Star break. We're going to talk about the first half here for the Brewers, kind of in total. Look at some of the top performers and things like that. Maybe some first half awards to be given out as well. The All-Star game coming up here tonight. Also, we're going to revisit, this All-Star game and one of the All-Stars in it. Makes me want to revisit one of the worst trades I've seen the Brewers make in recent memory. And just kind of further talking about the draft a little bit. A very fun and interesting story on one of the Brewers draft picks. But I want to start with the first half as a whole for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now that we've kind of gotten a little bit to digest the weekend that was there in Pittsburgh and getting a little bit further away from it here, the Brewers really did overall have a strong and solid first half here. 59-37. I know it's kind of a bitter taste in the mouths of everyone after what happened in Pittsburgh there. You could have had 60 wins before the break for the first time in franchise history. They couldn't quite get there, but still 59-37. 22 games above 500 at the All-Star break. There is nothing wrong with that, especially considering really watching this team day in and day out. They haven't really hit their full stride. They haven't really been firing on all cylinders. The first month, they missed Jackson Chourio. They missed Andrew Vaughn after opening day. They missed both of those guys for a month. They have had Brandon Woodruff available only sporadically. They have not had Quinn Priester available at all throughout the season. Jared Koenig certainly has not been what they're expecting him to be. A lot of expectations for Angel Zerpa out of that Brewers bullpen. He's been nowhere. I mean, he struggled early on. Tommy John surgery done for the year. So you have the issues there. And you just haven't been fully clicking. There's been the runners in scoring position issues that they've had for a couple of weeks now. There's been the lack of general power on this team. It's picked up a little bit, but still, Jake Bauers is your leading home run hitter. You only got a couple of guys there in double digits. So the big power hitters kind of haven't really been there. So you've had kind of all these issues. You've had a bunch of different starters on the IL, and still they're 22 games above 500. They are solidly in first place here in the division, which is just really remarkable here as well, especially considering how competitive the NL Central has been. I mean, you're 5 games up on the Cubs at the break here. That puts you really in a very good spot. Cardinals 8.5 games back. Pirates 9.5 back. The Reds have completely fallen off the pace, and they're 15.5 games back in the division here. But you're in first by 5 games. It's a very good position to be in. You're 22 games above 500. And again, you haven't been clicking entirely this entire time. Now, I remember last year when the Brewers got Brandon Woodruff back, all of a sudden, they win 11 in a row. They had a streak where they went 30-4, where they really kind of were, kind of clicking pretty well generally. But so it's been, all things considered, a very, very strong, very good first half here for the Brewers. Your MVP for this first half, in my opinion, Bryce Terang. 4 wins above replacement. What he's been doing, having the power surge continue here into the new season. After he started it late last year, now being able to continue that. 14 homers at the break, 15 stolen bases. He's right around on pace for close to a 30-30 season, maybe a 25-30 season for Bryce Terang, but still, that along with the defense that he provides at second base, just completely blossoming into a star here for the Brewers, playing basically every single day. Bryce Terang, absolutely, in my opinion, is the team MVP so far. William Contreras also has to be up there. Not only with what he's been able to bring offensively, but leading the pitching staff, a very young pitching staff, calling the games the way that he does, providing that leadership there behind the plate, the defense behind the plate. Contreras, deserves some consideration there as well for MVP, but I'm still going with Bryce Terang, 100%. Jake Bauers also you could throw into that conversation. I wouldn't argue with you too hard if you wanted to throw Jake Bauers in there, but still, It has been a very, very strong season for Bryce Terang here. So he's my MVP of this first half. And then Cy Young, I mean, Jacob Mizorowski. I mean, is there really any other candidate? If you wanted to go Aaron Ashby for, it's like, oh, look at all the wins that Aaron Ashby has. I know over the last couple of weeks he's really kind of been going through it, so that would take away a lot of votes for him there. But still, this is not the Cy Young voting of yesteryear. It's not all about wins. So Jacob Mizorowski, easily your Cy Young there. Newcomer of the year, obviously, so far, Kyle Harrison, got to be him. Just with how he's been able to be a really steady number two in that rotation behind Jacob Mizorowski up until this bout of forearm tightness here that's placed him on the IL. That's mildly concerning. So that's been that's gone really well. The suppose worst newcomer of the year, kind of the opposite there. Probably would have to go with Luis Rengifo, just because he was not really that good at much of anything when he was up at the big league club, and ends up getting designated for assignment and just kind of let go. But I mean, he held down, but he held up a roster spot for 2+ months, 2.5 months of the regular season, providing not much of any sort of production at the plate, not really super great defense, not really great speed, but he was just kind of that bridge guy until the Brewers felt Cooper Pratt was ready to get the call there for the left side of the infield. But yeah, overall, again, still a very strong first half for the Brewers at 59-37 with what they've been able to do, all the injuries that they have had. And I mean, they had a really strong month of May that helped push them. They're 19-7 in the month of May. There were a lot of questions maybe in April a little bit, 12-13 in the month of April. But you go 19-7 in May, you pick yourself back up, you continue that momentum in June, going 17-10, and then July. I mean, you're finishing out a rough stretch, but still 7-6 so far in July. You finished that long road trip to end the first half 6-5. That's really kind of as good as you can maybe hope for that kind of a stretch. So you'll take it, and you'll take this 5-game lead into the second half. And before we get to the second half, obviously you have to have the All-Star game. And despite the Brewers being in first place and having 59 wins and being 22 games over 500, they only have one All-Star that's eligible for this game. Now, Jacob Mizorowski was named to the All-Star game. However, he is not pitching in it. He's there in Philadelphia, but he is not going to pitch in this game. He's already been replaced on the roster. So William Contreras is the only guy that the Brewers have that we could see in this game here tonight. So you really would have hoped for more. Bryce Terang, I think, should have absolutely been named to this All-Star roster. It's a bit of a disgrace, really, that he is not in there. I mean, you look at the starting lineup that the National League is putting out, and I think Bryce Terang has a higher WAR, a higher wins above replacement than just about all of them. So the fact that he is not in here, the fact that he's not in this game is really, really ridiculous to me. But William Contreras, certainly very deserving, not going to take anything away from him, obviously, but Terang should be there with him, 100%. And again, you can make a push for Jake Bauers too, but first base is also a very tough position to get in the National League, because, Bryce Harper's going to make it. The game's in Philly, so Bryce Harper's going to be there. Freddie Freeman's going to be there. He got voted in. Matt Olson, also very good for the Atlanta Braves. So you're really kind of left with not much opportunity there for another first baseman to join this roster. And all those guys have that name value, name recognition. Jake Bauers is having a career year, yes, but he's been largely a journeyman over his career and doesn't really have that star power to his name. So that does make it a bit more difficult for him. But still, just one Brewer that we could see here in this All-Star game. But All-Star game, you can certainly trade about it on Kalshi, just like you could the Home Run Derby. And who won that Home Run Derby? Who did we talk about yesterday? Oh, yeah, I believe that was Jordan Walker. My pick to win the Home Run Derby, Jordan Walker, Kutching, if you got in at those odds at 12% like I was telling you to, $100 trade. I mean, that's $855 coming to you. So let me know in the comments if you tailed that and you were able to get some winnings off of that, because ka-ching coming through on that. So let's see if we can ride this hot streak here with the All-Star game itself. And for me, I understand that this game is in a National League park here, but the National League currently trading as the favorites to win this game. I don't buy it. I look at this National League lineup. I look at how the National League has performed in All-Star games over the past several years. Give me the American League, and give me the American League by 1.5 runs in this game as well, which is currently trading at 33%, which means a $100 trade pays out $298 with a win. So I'm taking the American League here by 1.5 runs. We're going to try and keep this hot streak going on that for sure. And on Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use this promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10, Kalshi, Kalshi, trade on anything. And yeah, you could certainly trade on winning quite a bit there on the home run derby. All right, so also with the All-Star game here, the American League did get another All-Star, named as a replacement to their team, and it was Chicago White Sox outfielder Tristan Peters. And Tristan Peters, for those of you who know, who have been following the farm system or following me for any length of time, Tristan Peters was a Brewers draft pick several years ago, 7th rounder, and when he was an A-ball, putting up a really great season, David Stearns traded Tristan Peters to get Trevor Rosenthal, a reliever. That was back at the 2022 trade deadline, right after he traded Josh Hader to the San Diego Padres, and they're trying to work together, all these other deals, trying to get, Juan Soto, all these other big names, trying to get a big swing. All of them fell through, and David Stearns kind of made a last-minute panic move to get another reliever in Trevor Rosenthal. And Trevor Rosenthal was injured at the time. He had been injured for the last year and a half, 2 years. Had not pitched in a major league game in a long time, but he was injured, and he was on track to come back in another month. So at best, you were getting 1 month of said reliever who had been injured for 2 years. And David Stearns traded Tristan Peters to get this guy. And it's like, look, okay, Tristan Peters, whatever he comes out to here, the process just seemed stupid. Because you have an up-and-coming, talented prospect that is having a really, really great season, putting up great numbers, showing some really good potential that he could be a big leaguer someday. And you trade him at that trade deadline for that guy. Like, if you traded him for an actual healthy reliever that could have helped you out, it would have been fine. Trevor Rosenthal never threw a pitch for the Brewers. He got injured again, trying to come back from that injury, and never pitched in a game. And he has not pitched since. His career is over. And you gave up Tristan Peters for this guy, and Tristan Peters is an all-star. He is legitimately an all-star for the American League this year, because he is having such a phenomenal breakout year, and he has found a footing here in the major leagues. And the Brewers gave him up. David Stearns gave him up for an injured reliever that never pitched for the team. There have been many bad trades. You can look at the Gary Cooper trade. Garrett Cooper, I believe, turned into an all-star as well. There are a couple of other ones that Stearns made. For a long time, the Hader deal was a really, really bad one, especially when you have to get rid of, one of the guys that you just acquired. You DFA him 2 days later. That made kind of no sense. And, people can kind of turn to you traded Esteury Ruiz into William Contreras, so basically trade Josh Hader for William Contreras. It's like, yeah, sort of, but that took an extra step. I don't necessarily consider that the Hader trade. But there have been, a couple of bad ones here. The Daniel Norris one was bad, giving up Reese Olson. But at least Daniel Norris was healthy and pitched for the team. He didn't exactly help the team much, but he pitched. So you could at least justify, making that kind of trade because he was healthy and he played. Trevor Rosenthal never played. He was not healthy. And you gave up a prospect for him. That should have been at best cash considerations that you gave up for Trevor Rosenthal. And instead, you give up a future all-star. So it just bugs me. The process at the time bugged me. I wrote about it back when I was over at Reviewing the Brew, that was just the worst trade that he had ever made because the process was just so stupid. It made no sense. why they would do that, why they would give up that prospect for a guy who had been injured for 2 years and was still injured. But and as time has gone on, it has proven to be an even stupider trade because this kid, Tristan Peters, is now an all-star. And even for me at the time, I wasn't necessarily thinking that Peters was going to be an all-star, but giving him up for that, whatever he turned out to be, it was the process. The thought process was just stupid and made absolutely no sense. And that's where it ended up in my book being Stearns' worst move, and is kind of continuing to haunt them, I think, a little bit by seeing this kid become an all-star. But it really was a bad one there. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. But all right, finally here, just kind of wrap up. Also talking about the draft past couple of days over the weekend. I want to talk about a story here that that is about the Brewers' 9th round pick, Chase Mora, out of Texas State. So Chase Mora, he was drafted as a right-handed pitcher, but Chase Mora was largely a first baseman for Texas State. And, third baseman. 52 starts at third base, 3 at first, 3 at designated hitter. Chase Mora set the college record at Texas State for most home runs in a career. He is a power hitter through and through, and he just had a pretty solid. Let's see what he ended up having here in terms of, he had 11 home runs on the season, and just overall 42 home runs in his career at Texas State. And he made one appearance on the mound this year. It was in a 19-3 blowout game. And he threw 1 inning, struck out 1 guy, and reached 98 miles an hour on the radar gun. Now, this was a blowout game. So talking to the Brewers scouting director, Todd Johnson, this game was a blowout. Most of the scouts at that game had cleared out. It was the Brewers scout and one other guy who stayed to the end and watched in a 19-3 game the third baseman, Chase Mora, come in and throw an inning. And he ends up, throwing mid-upper 90s. And because of that, the Brewers take this kid as a pitcher, and they're going to develop him as a pitcher. He has literally pitched 1 1/3 innings in his entire college career there at Texas State. He had a third of an inning in 2025, 1 inning in 2026. That was it for his career. And the Brewers are like, yes, we have seen enough. We will take him and we will put him in the pitching lab. And they're probably going to turn him into an absolute stud. Somehow, some way, they're going to do it. But that's how the Brewers find these guys. It is a scout sitting through a 19-3 blowout, seeing a position player pitch, and all of a sudden he's chucking mid-upper 90s. And they're like, we are going to take that guy. And they take him in the 9th round. And I'm very excited to see how he develops there, because everyone thought of this dude as a hitter, and the Brewers are thinking we're going to turn him into a pitcher. And all it took was a 19-3 blowout where everyone else had given up on the game and decided to go home. So that's what it takes to run a fantastic scouting department. The Brewers have some incredible scouts, and that's how they do so well in the draft, and having such a great farm system every single year. So I thought that was just kind of a fun little story to share. So we'll see what happens in the All-Star game here today. And then we're getting ready for the second half of the season, and looking ahead to that. So we'll be breaking all of that down here on Brewers Daily. Be sure to follow me on, I've been saying Twitter for so long, but I guess I should maybe start calling it X. I guess follow me on X there. It still sounds weird. At dgasper24. Lots of great content going up there all the time. Appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.